There is a deeply arrogant, entirely universal delusion that we all share. We secretly believe that the places that built us are actually museums dedicated to our existence. We leave our hometowns, our childhood neighborhoods, the specific street corners where we first felt the crushing weight of being a real person, and we assume they immediately freeze in carbonite the second we look away. We think the world operates like a video game that pauses when we step out of the room, patiently waiting for us to return and visit our past selves. But then you actually go back. You walk down your own street, expecting a parade of familiar sensory inputs, and you realize you are navigating by ghosts. You find yourself giving directions based on landmarks that haven't existed for a decade. Turn left where the old bookstore used to be. Go straight past the empty lot that used to be the diner. You are superimposing an invisible map over a territory that has completely rewritten itself. When you realize that the messy, gritty, lived in reality of your history has been bulldozed and passed over, it feels like a violent personal betrayal. You know the exact coordinates, you recognize the latitudes and the longitudes, but the place is simply gone. This is the first harsh lesson in the narcissism of memory. The city is an indifferent organism. It does not exist to validate your past or coddle your nostalgia. It breathes, it consumes, and it moves on without you. We actually have a diagnostic term for this incredibly specific flavor of grief. In 2003, an environmental philosopher named Glenn Albuquerque noticed a phenomena where people were experiencing a paralyzing, profound homesickness without ever actually leaving their zip code. They were standing in their own backyards, watching the landscape around them be irreparably altered by industrial development or rapid urbanization. He combined the Latin word for comfort, solicium, with the Greek root for pain, algia. He called it solastalgia. Solastalgia is the sickness of missing a place you are still standing in. It is the creeping dread, realizing you have become an exile without ever packing a bag. Nostalgia is a longing that occurs when you leave your environment. Solastalgia is the trauma that occurs when your environment leaves you. To understand why this hurts so much, we have to look at the philosophy of physical space. The philosopher Gaston Bachelard argued that our memories don't just float around abstractly in the soft tissue of our brain. They are literally housed in a physical architecture. Our daydreams, our childhood traumas, our first loves, they are anchored to the texture of a specific brick wall, the slant of light through a specific window, the geometry of a specific room. When that building is torn down, it isn't just concrete and rubble being destroyed. It is the physical hard drive of your memory being violently wiped. You are left holding the software of your past with no hardware left to run it on. But the horror of the modern city isn't just that it changes, it is what it changes into. This is where the grief of solastalgia mutates into a Kafkaesque nightmare. The new city doesn't just look different, it operates on a completely alien, highly sterile frequency. We are living through an era characterized by the aggressive commodification of space. The places that used to have friction, character, and organic soul are systematically sanitized and optimized to look good on a screen. You return to the spaces that forged you and find them replaced by perfectly curated, aggressively cozy aesthetic traps. Every new coffee shop has the same industrial lighting, the same hanging plants, the same minimalist typography. It is an algorithmic sameness that slowly devours the local culture. You become a tourist who fluently speaks the native language, forced to wander through a localized bureaucracy, where the rules have been rewritten overnight. We traded the messy, unpredictable reality of living for the frictionless aesthetic of existence. We allowed our physical environments to be turned into mood boards. And the supreme irony is that, in our desperate attempt to design perfectly aesthetic lives, we accidentally engineered environments where we feel entirely out of place. We built a flawless, invisible city directly on top of the old one, and in doing so, we locked ourselves out of our own home. So, where does this leave us? What do you actually do when the physical evidence of your history has been paved over and replaced by a sterile high rise or a chain restaurant? You could succumb to a bitter reactionary resentment, cursing the youth and the developers, shaking your fist at the unstoppable machinery of time, or you can embrace the absurdity of it all and let the physical place die. The tragedy of trying to hold on to the exact shape of a street corner is that time is entirely undefeated. To demand that the city stop evolving just so you can occasionally visit your memories is the ultimate form of human arrogance. The places we love are gone, but more importantly, the versions of ourselves that inhabited those places are also dead. You cannot go back because the you that wants to go back no longer exists. This shouldn't be a force of despair. It should be a profound liberation. When the physical monuments to your past are destroyed, you are no longer obligated to worship at their altars. You are free to stop haunting your own life. The realization that places move on without us forces us to stop outsourcing our identity to bricks and mortar. It forces us to internalize our history. In the end, the only real geography we ever truly own, the only landscape that cannot be bulldozed or paved over, is the sprawling, messy, beautiful fiction we write in our own heads. The world moves on. The only logical response is to move with it.